We're back in Malaysia, here in Melaka on the fort. I just want to, let me just quickly get the name of the fort. I think it's the Middelburg Bastion. Middelburg, for those knowing Afrikaans or Dutch, I mean, middle is in the middle of the burg. The burg is a town. It's the middle of town kind of idea. Right, there's a famous Middelburg in South Africa, which lies situated between Pretoria and Johannesburg, like the middle of between them cities, kind of idea. But this is a fort, right, from the time when this was the Dutch colony. 5 points fort as well, like they used to love making in those days, like the one there in Cape Town as well, which is understandably a lot bigger than this. The one in Cape Town, that is. So, John chapter 18, conclusion. What is this chapter about? Right. I mean, not what is this is the conclusion. In other words, what is it that we can take from this chapter? Okay. So, I think the very important point to see here, well, is just in the difference between the different groups, right? There's quite a number of groups in this chapter. So they're the disciples. When push comes to shove, they get away. Except for John, who kind of goes with Peter, and then Peter denying. Right, that is the one group of people in playing this. Then there's Jesus on his own, as he is. Okay, and his mannerism, how he carried himself through all of this. Okay, and then there is Pilate, so the Roman Empire, to put it like that. And then there's the religious leaders on the other end. Okay, so those are the main groups. Yes, sure, there's going to be the local populace as well. There's a little voice there in the end where they're going to shout, okay, we want Barabbas. But in general, here in this chapter, they're not playing such a big role. It's just that they shouted for that, which from the other chapters we know, the other Gospels, that is not the chapters, are the Gospels, it's actually because of the religious leaders that they shouted like that. So they're not playing a super big role in this. Okay, so, and in a certain sense, the disciples per se as a group, they don't play a very big role in this, except that because the whole story, what happened there in the Garden of Gethsemane is not so retold in detail by John, and I explained to you as well. The reason for that, because he had a different audience, he was focusing on a specific audience, that is the religious leaders and their role in all of this. Okay. And so they, except for Peter and John, as I mentioned a bit earlier, okay, how John did follow and Peter did follow. John knew the high priest, explained how that might be possible. We don't really know. He keeps quiet about it. Okay, so there have been reasons maybe how but John said he knew. Okay, and they know, and he knew the names, the relatives of Malchus, etc., etc. We see it in the chapter. Okay, and then, but even then, the focus is more not so much on John, and it's just the focus. John mentioned himself so as to show that how he got Peter in. Peter is more the specific person here that no, I won't deny him. I will die with him. But then 3 times he denied Jesus. Okay, Jesus said he's going to do it. He did it. So Peter doesn't come out with flying colors from this, and this is actually more important for the last chapter when there's going to be the restoration of Jesus, right? Why this is mentioned, I mean, this specific episode is mentioned in all cases, but Peter already took a very important role at that stage. Remember, going to Acts, you'll see that Peter and John, they are together, and Peter and John captured, and then John is out of the picture, and I said that is the reason why I think at that stage that John was writing this, looking after Mary, writing the gospel. Peter was again captured. So Peter played a very important role. And for that reason he's mentioned here to show his fall, but I will get back to Peter's role more into the final chapter when he is restored ultimately by Jesus. Okay, and what is the importance, and especially what would have been the importance for the original readers of this, why Jesus did it the way he did it. Okay, so we'll get back to Peter, but he doesn't come out of the story with flying colors at all. On the opposite of it, he came out very bad. So Pilate, okay, Pilate as what is the truth, but not waiting for an answer. Okay, so he's asking questions, but he's not really asking questions, right? He's like, am I a Jew that I ought to know? Kind of idea, right? So he is he knew a lot of stuff. He knew a lot, but he played as if he didn't know. Okay, he had to give the go-ahead for the soldiers to go, etc., all of that. And now he's playing, so he heard lots of things. Jesus asking him about that. But again, Pilate as well doesn't come out. But he's not an important player, right? Clearly, they are pointing out that Pilate is not that an important player, not in this chapter at least. There's other people that's a lot more here, playing a lot bigger role. That would be Annas, where Jesus went to first. Then he is. Now I'm like Annas and Sapphira, but it's not like Annas and the other high priest. Oh man, I'm bad with names. As well, it's kept catching up here. Caiaphas, Annas and Caiaphas. Okay, so Annas he went first, then Caiaphas after that, and then to Pilate, right? So he went through all of those, and then the story of the soldier, right? So there's a soldier as well hitting him, but again, that the focus, the reason the soldier is mentioned is just to show the farce that the whole case against Jesus was. Okay, so they had no problem breaking the law, but that plays more into not so much the soldier, but them not saying anything. Okay, that is the more important thing why the soldier is mentioned. So Pilate just try to not doesn't really care about. Okay, there's going to be a number of them. Herod the Great with listening to John the Baptist, and or later as well listening to Paul. We need to ask, but actually we want money from you. That comes from Acts. Okay, so all these things show that there's these people in leadership that knows a lot, but they don't really care. This is not important to them. Like as long as if they can get something out of it, they're okay with it. If they can't, then they try to push the responsibility away. That's just that. So they don't come out with very. There are those kinds of people in life who don't. They say like a politician. They will speak what the Christians want to hear. Right, and say we are for that, and then after they've been elected by and Christians voting for him, then they just turn around. They don't care really anymore. Okay, that's if they can get money, if they can get votes out of it, they will speak to these people. If they can't, they don't care, right? So those kinds of people, we have them all around us, playing as if they're Christians, but actually they're only playing it for what they can get out of it. And then there are, yes, the religious leaders and Jesus. They are the two main groupings here, right? The two main persona, to put it like that, in this chapter. Jesus is the one who did nothing guilty. Even Pilate said he did nothing guilty. The guard eating him, and Jesus asking for, what are you doing this, right? If I didn't do anything, right, then who gives you the right? Okay, and there was no reply. But no, you did this and you did that or anything. It was just quiet. Okay, so we can learn a lot from what is not said. And so he stands strong. We see in Jesus in Gethsemane, I've mentioned a number of ways how Jesus could have gotten out of this whole story, right? He could have gone to a different garden there. He could not have gone to the garden. Well, he could have stayed away from Jerusalem. He could have not gone to the garden. He could have gone to a different the garden there, which Jesus didn't know about. It was night. He could have eaten. When they came there and he asked who you're searching for, he stood out and said, Jesus, I am he. He didn't push Peter forward. No, here's Peter. That's Jesus kind of idea. He didn't. Okay? So he didn't do that. Okay, you didn't say, okay, well, but no, Judas here. Judas can tell who is who. Judas is one. See, there's 10 of them saying that he is Jesus. And you take Judas' word, Judas is just in this for money kind of idea. He could have gotten away with it.